Okay, so now we are live, I guess. Hi guys, I'm Kranti Sambhav. Welcome to Time Drive. आज Sunday का दिन है और we thought that let's talk about something which daily life में motoring market के बारे में बात करते हुए, new launches, new unveils के बीच में बात करते हुए एक मुद्दा ऐसा जो discuss होते होते always back burner पे चला जाता है. Thanks Harshvardhan, thanks for joining. और उसी के बारे में आज बात करेंगे. We have very experienced, talented and good friend of mine, RajKapoor with us, जो बहुत सालों से बहुत अलग-अलग बट बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग प्रोफेशन से जुड़े हुए हैं. एक तो मोटरस्पोर्ट के साथ उनका जुड़ाव और कनेक्शन बहुत ही स्ट्रांग है. प्लस कार्स मॉडिफाई या ऑफ रोडिंग के लिए जब गाड़ियां मॉडिफाई करते हैं वो भी उनका एक्सपीरियंस बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग रहता है. कि फॉलोइंग हिम ऑन इंस्टाग्राम और वहां पर उनके पिक्चर्स दिखते हैं. राज इज विद अस. Thanks a lot for joining Time Drive this discussion, Raj.
Thank you, Kranti, for having me there.
Good. So, first question, obviously, how's this lockdown doing? What are you doing?
How's the lockdown treat? Yes.
Because your timeline, especially Instagram, is something which I guess even makes me jealous. Interesting. अलग-अलग जगह के ऊपर का लोकेशन और इमेजेस आपके आते हैं. वो टिपिकल फ्रीडम की फील देते हैं. So, what was the last trip you did?
The last trip was again my favorite destination, which is Ladakh, and this was the first time that we did it in winters. So, tried to experience Ladakh in -25 and -30.
Wow! And when was this?
This was about 2 months back, end Jan.
Okay. And vehicles you used?
So we had our vehicle partners, which is Mahindra Adventure. So we had all Mahindra Thars with us. It was a good choice vehicle.
And to go, to take those kind of roads, what are the modifications you do on those vehicles?
So these cars primarily were not very modified. They were by and large stock, except that they were running off-road tires, and they had the usual, we had chains and we had winches to help us. But you'd be surprised to learn that we did all of this in soft-top Thars.
Wow.
That kind of temperatures.
So it was almost -20, you were saying?
Yeah, -20 plus.
-20 plus.
Yeah. So
and so how did you keep yourself warm in those soft tops?
So, once you're in the car and once the windows are up and the soft top is kind of buttoned up, the temperature becomes quite bearable. Let's just put it that.
Okay, Raj, for you it must be very normal or very common, but our viewers would love to know, when you plan such trip, क्या-क्या चीजें होती हैं जो सबसे ज्यादा ध्यान रखते हैं? Because बहुत कम enthusiasts को मैंने सुना है, but they really, they're serious enthusiasts who want to experience Ladakh during winters. What are the things you suggest?
So, first of all, you need to have a vehicle which is capable. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, Ladakh in winters is kind of cut off from the rest of the world. So you can't access the valley because all the passes around it are completely frozen or snow-clad. You can't cross them. So if you can manage to get a vehicle there, that's half the battle won. And then ensure that you have all the requisite accessories, which are snow chains, warm clothes, all kinds of off-road accessories, like you would like to have some sand ladders so that in case you get stuck, you can use that to extract yourself. Of course, a number of vehicles along with you are a definite plus, because in scenarios like this, anything can go wrong. You can plan as much as you want, but things pan out differently on the ground. So you must be prepared. You must have people with you who are similar in thought and have some experience playing with jeeps and going to interesting places.
Yeah, similar. It's a very interesting point because I remember once one biker told me the story when they went to Ladakh. They were like really happy. By the time they reached and wanted to come back, they wanted to kill each other. So it was.
So those are the pitfalls of hanging around together for too long in confined spaces. But very important is that you must have adequate clothing. So the right gear is very important because it's very cold and things can go wrong at any point and you can get stuck. So you must have enough clothing with you to survive because those temperatures can be quite lethal.
Right. And if we talk about driving style, when you drive in the summers, in those terrains, not talk about like regular roads and all. If there's some ice, some snow, what's a difference in the attitude which these drivers or these enthusiasts can think of?
So after traveling to Ladakh multiple times of the year, and seeing a lot of new people wanting to experience the place, my advice to most new people going there is that please treat the terrain with respect. It's different from your regular what should I say, hill station drive. The roads are difficult. They are and the altitude is a real killer. So you must understand that at that altitude, your vehicle is going to behave differently. It will not be able to perform the same way as it did in the low altitude. So don't abuse the vehicle because you're going to a very remote area where there's very little help available. Right. So you might find a dealership, but it will not be as well stocked as your dealership back home. So अगर आपने ऐसा कुछ तोड़ लिया, you've got something damaged which is not available, you're stranded there. So treat the vehicle with respect, treat the altitude with respect and the terrain with respect, because you cannot be fooling around at 17,000 feet or 18,000 feet. You have to be careful.
Right.
Treat your body with respect. You may think that nothing happens to you and you can party.
Invincible, yeah.
Yeah, you can party the same way as you were partying back home, but the body takes a toll at that altitude. And so if you are flippant about it, you might get into trouble.
Right.
So if you do all of this, you can have a good time.
And how's your experience? I mean, winter, what do you like more? Winter Ladakh, summer Ladakh?
Winter is mind-blowing. I mean, this is the first time actually in about 30 years that I visited Ladakh in peak winters. And that also was only possible because, Mahindra was kind enough to park the vehicles there. The vehicles were parked there since November, before the roads closed. Right. And they will only be taken out once the roads open, which is in May, June. So we were able to access that place and go all the way up to, Turtuk, which is the tip of Indian territory. So the visuals cannot be described.
Right. Cool. So we'll just thank all the viewers who joined. Vinay Jha, hi. Okay, he's saying hi to you as well. Harshvardhan, thanks for joining. Pradeep Kumar Mishra, thank you. Okay, he has a question about Creta. वो मैं बाद में करूँगा after finishing this chat, Pradeep. Ankit is Rich Rights, I guess. Ankit, yeah. Yes. Vivek, if you guys can discuss or explain more about the government notification for compulsory security updated. And how does it impact the current situation? I guess Vivek is trying to ask about the topic or the thing we were discussing, how legal and where does it fall if we talk about car modifications as far as government notification is concerned.
So there is no doubt about the fact that there is a Supreme Court ruling which states that you cannot alter uh, any parameter of the car which is defined in the RC. So the RC defines certain parameters, you have to stick to it. Having said that, it is simplistic in its text, because there are a number of areas where mandatory requirement is there to do some work on the car, which is, let's just say, if it's bought and made into an ambulance, or if it's bought and made into a crane, or some other application, like even a refuse carrier. So there is work done on the car which changes what it's supposed to do when it comes out from the factory.
Right.
From my understanding, I believe that the court has tried to take a positive approach towards ensuring that the safety of the car and the other road users is not compromised. So if you take that as the spirit of the ruling, and you take a call accordingly, that you don't do stuff which compromises the structural ability of the machine,
Right.
or its working principles. As long as you don't do that, and you don't compromise safety of people on the road, I think that's what the basic intent is.
Right.
It has to be interpreted in the manner that the person who's in command takes that call.
Right. And we've seen जैसे बुलबास को मना कर दिया गया था, बुलबास के ऊपर तो I guess पुलिस ने रोक के उनको चालान भी किया था, I guess.
True. So bull bars have an application. They are supposed to be installed on SUVs that do a lot of off-road application. So if you are in a place where you have a lot of off-road application, where you might encounter a lot of rocks or shrubs, and or for that matter wild animals, where you want to ensure the safety of your car, you use it in that application, it's fine. But if you use that on regular roads where you hit somebody, the bumper is designed in a manner where even if you were to hit a pedestrian, you will not injure him beyond a point.
Exactly.
But if you hit him with something which has iron bull bars up front on a regular road, there's less chance of him surviving. So again, I mean, if you use that machine in a farm or in an off-road environment, it's fine. But if you use that machine on regular roads and you're driving around, you're going to compromise somebody's safety. So everyone has to take a call, keeping the relevant information in mind.
Right. So you have to be sensible in case आपके car dealership showroom ने अगर बोला है कि आप look के लिए, safety के लिए बुलबास लगवा लो, एक illegal है, but regular roads के ऊपर unsafe है बाकी लोगों के. आज talking about farms and off-roading, बहुत सारे enthusiasts अब बढ़ रहे हैं, पहले के मुकाबले बहुत ज़्यादा enthusiasts अब off-roading में आ रहे हैं. What's your suggestion जब कोई पहली बार आता है आपके पास कि हाँ मुझे ऑफ रोड के लिए कार तैयार करनी है, what are the things you look at and what are the suggestions you give?
So again, I mean, like you rightly said, there is a lot of interest now in off-roading, and it's grown exponentially over the last 7-10 years, I would say, which is a good thing. So depending on how committed you are, what's your budget like, and how far do you want to go down this road, there are innumerable things that you can do in this space, right from buying a basic Jeep to, let's say, there are people who are doing off-roading in Jeep Wranglers. So depending on where's the price point that is of comfort to you, you enter. And then again, you can, organically grow your project. Start with off-road tires. If you're going to do fording, which is you want to do water crossings, put in a snorkel, put in a lift kit, get a winch, and then, like I said, get an off-road bumper, because if you're going to do serious off-roading, then the stock bumper is not going to work, because it will most probably uproot itself in your first 2-3 outings itself. And join one of the clubs, because there are lots of enthusiasts now who are converging and forming groups and clubs, and collectively they learn from each other. So it's an excellent way to enjoy your weekends and learn a new craft or sport.
Right. And few questions, Raj. One question is, Gaurav is asking, alloy wheels versus steel wheels and tire upsize, your take.
Again, depends what you want to do. I mean, if you're going to do off-roading, alloy wheels can be a problem. Steel wheels are better, because in case you do you do make a mistake and damage your wheel, a steel wheel can be repaired, whereas an alloy wheel will most probably have to be replaced. If you're going to do this on a sedan, definitely alloy wheels, because they're lighter, they're far better to look at, so aesthetically they enhance your car. They will give you offset, so your track width will go up, and it will enhance the way your car drives, so driving dynamics will improve. Upsizing, again, it has to be well thought of. What is your application? If it's just to look good, you can upsize a wee bit. But if you go too up, which is you go too far up on the overall diameter and reduce the aspect ratio dramatically, so you'll find a lot of people running with 30 aspect ratio and 35 aspect ratio tires. They don't last very long, because one little undulation on the road and you will bend the rim. And as you can see, in India, you get lots of such undulations and bumps and ditches. So not a very good idea.
So how do you judge? Agar koi common carb, I mean, Raj rightly pointed out, in case you guys, आपको एक बार फिर से बताएं कि in case अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं wheel alloys की, तो वहाँ अगर off-roading के लिए अगर बात कर रहे हैं, तो maybe that makes more sense कि आप steel wheel लें. Otherwise, cars में alloys is suggesting. But Raj, what do you suggest? How do you decide कितने बड़े size या किस पर upsize किस पर जा सकते हैं, कौन से size पे जा सकते हैं?
So see, the car itself will limit your upsizing to a point. There is a certain amount of space available in the wheel well. If you try and go beyond that, you will damage the car. You will go and hit the bodywork and you will damage the car. So whichever car you're using, you can upsize by about an inch, which is half an inch in terms of your radius. Beyond that means that you will have to compromise on the width of the tire, I mean, on the thickness of the tire. So if you reduce the amount of rubber, if you will see a stock car comes with a very tall tire, you have about 5-6 inches of rubber.
Right.
The reason why it's there is that it acts as a secondary suspension to your car. A lot of undulations in the road and bumps in the road are soaked up by the tire itself. When you upsize and you reduce the height of the tire and increase the size of the rim, then the ability to absorb shocks reduces dramatically. So while your car feels much better because there is no ambiguity in the side lateral movement of the tire.
Right.
One little bump and you'll be down by about 20,000-30,000 rupees.
True. And Uttam, okay, hi Sohan, thanks for joining. Gaurav ne kaha. Vivek is asking. Okay, Vivek is asking an interesting question. He said, he's saying, has seen few Jeep Thar with 6 wheels after modification. I just want to know, how can we do this legally in India?
Legally, you can't do anything. Definitely, you cannot change the number of axles. That is an extreme modification where it's made into a 6-wheel drive. You add another axle at the back, and you take out power out of the original rear axle by doing a modification, and run another differential at the back with another set of 2 wheels. So it's a modification that was done on the Mercedes G-Wagon, and then some people have done it in India on a Bolero, on a car. It's an interesting modification, but it's not legal.
Right. And how? What kind of utility it serves? I mean, for pickup, for carrying load, or off-roading?
Off-road. Yeah. It's primarily aimed at making it a far superior off-roader, because now you have 6 wheels, trying to extract you out of a situation instead of 4 wheels. So definitely a plus there. But it really doesn't have any other application. It's not made for load carrying application per se.
Right.
It's not done for that.
Super. And one question I wanted to ask, which I think is very common. I remember talking to you about this. When you want to get into off-roading, you think how old this thing, Jeep or Thar or some utility vehicle you can buy, जो कि modify करके आप off-roading कर सकते हैं. What's your suggestion? What's your take on that?
Interesting question. So, I personally feel that if you come in at a very low entry price barrier, you buy a very cheap base vehicle, you will end up spending a lot of money because when you will purchase it, your knowledge and your requirement will be very basic. But as soon as you start to enjoy the sport, as soon as you enter the club and you meet new friends, your knowledge graph will spike, quite dramatically. And within the first 4 to 6 weeks, you will realize that what you bought is not what you want. And then the amount of money that you will spend on that will far exceed what you would have spent on something. If you had bought something about 4 or 5 years old, you would have been far better off. So don't fall in the trap of buying a very old Jeep and trying to do that up, because invariably you will spend more money than you would if you buy a 4 or 5 year old car, or for that matter, a well done up Gypsy.
Okay, so you're suggesting max 4 or 5 years old. Itne purane.
So currently, in my opinion, the best vehicle for a newbie is a 4 or 5 year old Thar. He puts in mud tires onto it, does a small lift kit, and maybe a winch, and he's in business. He can have fun, and nothing majorly will go wrong. If, like I said, off-roading also requires you to join a club to understand what is possible and what is not. Because doing dangerous things is not smart. You will hurt yourself and you will damage the vehicle. So you need somebody to mentor you, to explain to you that this is doable and this is the way to do it.
Right. And one question. Okay, so this is one technical question. DJ Rattlesnake is asking, because most of the manufacturers, they say, if you cut the wire, your warranty goes for a toss, guarantee goes for a toss. Can we modify our stereo or not?
Sorry, which wire?
Any electrical wire, if you cut, so warranty goes for a toss. This is what, he's basically mentioning Maruti, but this is what generally happens, right?
Yes. So, from the manufacturer standpoint, he's trying to safeguard himself uh, from any unauthorized electrical connections, because currently in the new age cars, there's lots of electronics assist to the mechanicals. So, indiscriminate wire tapping tends to create problems for the ECU. You cannot, like, in older times, जो आपका इलेक्ट्रिशियन होता था, he would splice any wire कि इसमें से 12 वोल्ट ले लेता हूँ, इसमें से मैं अर्थिंग दे देता हूँ. You can't do that anymore, because each sub circuit has a certain voltage going to a sensor or an actuator and coming back. If you splice it, you hassle the understanding of the ECU.
Right.
So one should try and go to a informed technician, and whenever you want to install something, try and run a mini harness dedicated for that particular accessory or add-on that you have created, which is run a harness from the battery to that. Don't try and do a shortcut and take out wires from anything that has 12 volts.
Right. And lots of, thanks, Rahul, for your question. Okay, Rahul is asking if dash cam power supply can directly be taken from car battery. Would it void car warranty? Do you have any idea?
No, not at all. If you take it from the car battery, but you don't need to. You can just take it from any USB port coming out from your cigarette lighter socket.
Right. Okay, one question I wanted to ask, Raj. You do so many, you keep doing off-road and you organize so many rallies and adventure rides. And which off-roading vehicle is your personal favorite?
This is, I think, one of the most difficult questions you can ask. But again, it depends, where you're driving, how extreme is the application.
Okay.
So while you can run a new age SUV almost anywhere, but they have their limitations, because most high-end SUVs have a lot of electronic assist. And when you are doing extreme off-roading and when you're going into terrain where there is no help for miles, all of this electronics, while they're a great boon when you're in the city, you press a button and a lot of stuff happens. In extreme scenarios, the more simple your vehicle is, the more safer it is. Because when you're a couple of 100 kilometers away from civilization, the last thing you need is a sensor packing up, or suddenly a message that comes that your transmission has packed up because you have revved it too much. So a basic Gypsy or a Thar, where there is minimal electronics, it will take you out of most of the scenarios that this country can offer. I'm not saying that the top SUVs will not do it. They will do it. But the chances of something going haywire, because if you get stuck, what normally happens is whenever you will get stuck, and you will get stuck, that's the entire principle. That once your front and your rear axle, one tire decides to get stuck, you will rev the car, you will try all sorts of techniques to take it out. And by doing that, you will go beyond what that car is normally designed to do. So some error will crop up. So as the number of errors crop up in your screen, that you have a check engine light for this, you have a check engine light for this, it will stress you out. So best run simple.
And my connection is showing unstable. Before I go out of this signal area, few tips. I mean, top 5 things to do or think of or plan if you are planning to get one off-road, off-roading vehicle. What do you suggest?
So again, like I said, depends on your budget, but I still think the Maruti Gypsy is a very well engineered vehicle for basic off-roading, because it uses a very simple concept, which is simple but strong mechanicals, extremely light body, excellent engineering, just right engineering. So without too much dramatics, it manages to do a lot of stuff, easily. Because if you buy, let's say, a Ford Endeavor, it has a lot of power, it has a lot of electronics in assist, but it is so heavy that first it gets bogged down and then it uses its power to come out.
Right.
Whereas a Gypsy will float over the problem and come out without any dramatics. The stuff that you must have if you're doing off-roading on your car is that you must have off-road tires, because that is what will give you traction. You must try and get more ground clearance, because again, that is something that will take you out of situations which will normally get you stuck. If you are going to do slush and water crossings, you must have a snorkel. Otherwise, you will suck in water and you will get an hydrolock and you will destroy your engine. You can, if possible, and if money allows you, get a winch. It's a great tool. It makes you self-sufficient and gives you a lot of confidence to go on your own without any help. I mean, you can go anywhere and you can always have the ability to extract yourself. Other than that, everything else is by and large, what should I say, accessories.
Nice. And before we finish this conversation, Vinay Jha is asking and maybe requesting is, Raj, when is your next off-road trip planned and can I join?
So while there were a lot of plans, the COVID-19 has put a damper on a number of things. So once the lockdown lifts up and we start to understand the implications and the effect of this virus over the next 1 or 2 months, we will. There is a trip planned in July. I really don't know whether things will ease out by then, but hopefully, once it's safe, definitely. I mean, we're not going to be sitting home.
Super. Thank you so much and good luck, Raj, for this upcoming trip. And thanks for answering these questions also. And Vivek, Vinay, Uttam, Vivek, Rattlesnake, Harshvardhan, thank you so much. आप सभी यहाँ पर आए and asked questions. I hope you like this discussion or ऐसे ही chats discussions. We are continuing with this. बहुत interesting topics और भी आएंगे फिलहाल. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye bye.